All right, so let's take a look at what the dailies are talking about today. And we've got Steve Nwosu joining us this morning. He's the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Nigerian Express. So good morning, Steve, and thank you for joining us today. So we will start with, we'll start with Vanguard today. Let's see. Well, Nigerians suffering on all fronts. Take action now. Onoyekon, Jega, Agwai, others. The writer says, PDP urges Buhari to resign if APC keeps mum. We have a listening president, additional. So, when you see this kind of headline coming from these personalities, and then the last bit where additional is quoted to have said, we have a listening president. If you add all that to the mix, what do you expect to happen next?
Well, you see, a president, it's good somebody finally saying something. Nigerians are suffering. Incidentally, they had their ministerial review, performance review retreat the other day, and they said nice things about themselves and everything. But there's, like I was trying to say in my column today, there's a difference between the rhetorics and the reality. They might be telling the president what he wants to hear, but the truth is that there's suffering out there. Things are not just as rosy as they painted for the president. Well, we can have a listening president, like my brother Femi said, but one thing to listen is another thing to act.
And so there you go. But you have several other headlines. I'm sure some of these perspectives will be out there. In fact, they also quoted him separately. President Buhari focused on nation building and unity of Nigeria by additional. So equally right in that piece. But in this part where he says, if I perish, God help Nigeria, says May Lafia after 4 hours grilling by DSS. Now, for the opportunity time, the DSS invited him to come forward. And it does appear as though, look, we've seen this before. When you have certain things, if you go there the first time, chances are that you will keep reporting to the security agencies' offices. But the way this is panning out now, does this send a different message to people who are watching, asking, look, what's going on?
You see, that's the problem I have with what is happening in the country at this moment. There's nothing Bedaya Melafia said that we've not heard before. I guess the problem is the person that is saying it. And then how come it is that people say things and get away with them, but certain people just can't get away with it? And then the security, as if you give them information, they say, okay, you have to come and explain. Is a tip-off for them to act on. There's a security issue. We all have a suspicion what we're saying. Then you give them a tip-off, they now make you look miserable. They make you literally suffer, regret ever giving that information. I don't think it's proper. I think what the security should be doing is to act on what Melafia has said. Truth is that the insecurity is real. You saw even the FRSC people that got shot, attacked, every day people are getting bumped off, arrested, no place is safe again. And I mean, the government doesn't seem to be doing that. And there's kind to be this conspiratory silence about it from governmental quarters. So it's that whoever says that this is happening, that now becomes a problem and not the problem itself.
And yesterday there were several headlines about what could happen on Tuesday. The notices that were given by different groups, different unions who plan to protest. But there's another piece here. Petrol electricity tariff hikes. TUC petitions Buhari, issues 7-day ultimatum. So it looks as if we have to brace up for something.
Yeah, everybody is like I think the holiday for Buhari should be over after about 6 years now, or 5 years. The holiday should be over. We've been taking so many things. Yes, we get right, we get better, but things just keep going from bad to worse. And yet, you see what happened. People say, hey, nobody is lining up at Ojota, nobody. Yet the The indices might have changed, the situations might have changed, but the fact remains the same. People are suffering, and it's time people begin to serve this notice to the government that yes, all is not well. Let it not be that because we are all keeping quiet, they presume that we are all happy. Some are scared to talk for maybe fear of the possible repercussions. Some are just too weak. We have gotten so tired of fighting that we don't even know what to do again. But definitely the unions are saying it's only painful that they are serving these notices soon after the lockdown. Like I saw what happened at one of the airlines yesterday. Yeah. They served the notice and all that. The truth is that the aviation industry has been the most hit. And then you suddenly come, when you're trying to struggle and come up, your worker serve you such notice. It can be very frustrating as an employer or whatever, as an entrepreneur. But whether we like it or not, people are between the rock and the hard place. So they've got to protest.
Well, that's the Vanguard today.
We'll take a look at Daily Trust newspaper. The lead story, Nigeria on the brink of collapse. Afenifere, Ohaneze, Northern Elders, others insist. Seems there is a trend, a consistency. The headlines
Everybody
really
is saying it.
say President's response to Obasanjo disappointing. It's sad we're tagged terrorists. No need to join issues with them. That's coming from government officials. And a golden opportunity for reflection missed. That's according to Dons. That you can find on page 5 of the Daily Trust. And like I said, there seems to be some consistency. But when you see golden opportunity for reflection missed, you wonder, what should we do with all these statements coming from left, right, and center? How should the government internalize all this? For some people, they think it's a golden opportunity for reflection. What do you think our approach should be right now?
The approach is simple. If people are hungry, this is not the time, no matter how hard it is, this is not the time you jack up, you hike prices. This is not the time you introduce all manner of taxes. Countries, look at Israel is going into a second lockdown now. And even before the lockdown started, they're already announcing relief or special intervention that they're going to do for the economy for things to pick up. Now we have a country where, yes, they are announcing 2.3 trillion intervention, but is it getting down? No. The hunger is still out there. Insecurity is at its worst. What's it called? The economy is in bad shape. The corruption, we don't seem to be making any headway with it. And then there's this in-your-face kind of the devil may care approach to it. You say look at what Obasanjo said. Everybody is pointing it out. Okay, if you say Melafia overreach is wrong, Obasanjo has said it. Every group is saying it. Not that, so where are you doing well?
But it seems yet again, I mean, the government is staying consistent with its statements regarding maybe the price of fuel, for example. You see right under the big picture, Nigeria can't sustain subsidy after 65% revenue loss. That's credited to minister. So, I mean,
I feel ashamed that anytime we get to talk about this fuel price hike increase, do we for a minute forget that we are supposed to be an oil producing country? Do we for any second remember that we have 3-4 refineries that we are paying people? That is one of the choicest places to work in this country today is the NNPC and the refinery.
But clearly they're not
what
working.
Are they doing there?
So should we keep digging that hole or find a way out of it? Because clearly the price of crude oil in the market has even dropped below $40 just in recent hours. We're not earning as much revenue. Our refineries don't seem to be working. So do we keep digging that hole or find a way out of it?
Until heads begin to roll around those places, we will keep digging hope. Remove your subsidy. Before you know it, the whole prices will go haywire. There's no reason why we should be talking about it. Yes, we can remove it because it doesn't get down to the poor people and all that. But the truth is that we even have no reason discussing it, because we should be refining our fuel, giving it to almost paying little or nothing for it right here, because we have this fuel, we have the refineries, and we have the manpower to do it. So why are we not doing it?
You know, the Daily Trust also references that sad story you talked about earlier. Bandits killed 2, abduct 10 FRC officers in Nasarawa. And see this one, it's also about, you know, the petroleum industry, saying marketers, others back plans to make vehicles run on gas. That's something they've been talking about. Apparently, a lot of cars would have to be converted.
Whether gas, which one are we producing? Gas, water, fuel, which one are we producing? So even if it runs on air, do we have clean air?
At least
so
we produce water, at least. That's a Daily Trust for you.
Well, if you take a look at the front page of the New Telegraph this morning, it's pretty much talking about the Edo governorship poll. Please identify flashpoints, deploy 31,000 personnel. IGP says we'll deal with misguided political actors. 14 parties candidates signed peace accord today. US imposes visa ban on Nigerians, undermining democracy. How interesting is this for you?
It's very interesting, because each time we approach an election is one big racket. And then the police deploy, the SSS will deploy, everybody. At the end of it, what happens? Some people still go and change these figures. We still come. US is talking about visa restrictions on people who play pranks, all the shenanigans that happen around our election. But that has become our way. Despite all these things, we still come out. Some people are somewhere today planning how to circumvent the popular opinion on all this. So it's not a question of mobilizing. I've monitored the election. I have seen even when the police and other securities are used to carry ballot boxes, are used to change figures, are used to intimidate voters. So it's not, we don't really need all these so many police. If we get the structure, if we get the system running, we don't need all those people. You don't even need a policeman to go and vote, for goodness sake. It's just that they know they will always play pranks. The same people who we send to go and monitor the election to avert crisis are the ones that will cause the crisis, are the ones that will do the shooting, and sometimes even the thugs will come in police uniform and we have security. But I'm not impressed that you are sending, if you like, deploy. So what if we are having a general election? You also deploy 60,000, 30,000 to all the states. But then, there's something missing in our system.
On whom is that responsibility then? I mean, we've been talking about electoral reforms for God knows how long.
I won't pretend to take it away. It rests on the table of the president. If he resolves to conduct a free and fair election, many of these, if so your party people tell you, hey, we want to win this state, we want to, let them go and win it properly. It's not that you just wait for the result. A Machiavellian approach, well, they have brought Edo into the kitty, we have brought Kogi into the kitty. How did it happen? Did the election, if the president himself sits down and say, we will not take any pranks from here on this issue. Let the election hold, let the winner, the proper winner emerge. Things will fall in. But when you let people, somebody say, I have to deliver my state by hook or by crook, and then they go and do all kinds of things, and you, the president, you wait, bury your head in the sand, then when they just bring the results, you just look at the results, say, yeah, we have this state. You don't bother. For you, the end justifies the means. You don't look at the process that led to it. And that's, I think, what is, until we resolve from the president sit down to hold a transparent, free and fair election, all those things will not stop.
All right, right under the picture you see on the front page of the New Telegraph this morning, failed state, presidency insensitive, living in denial, Afenifere Ohaneze, NEF, others. That story you'll find on page 5. We referenced this earlier. But right above the nameplate, NBS, figures from NBS says 36 states, FCT's domestic debts hit 4.1 trillion naira.
That's enough for our grandchildren not to pay. So we are leaving something for our grandchildren.
Wow.
Yeah, we inherit the debt.
Well, the writers say Lagos highest with 493.3 billion naira, and Yobe least indebted state with 29.2 billion. But then, I mean, we've hosted people here who have said, look, no matter what it is, you still have to spend your way out of your economic crisis. So if you don't have the money to spend your way out of an economic crisis, perhaps the only option, some would say, is to borrow.
There's nothing wrong with borrowing. Like I said, there's nothing, very few, like I have a businessman friend who says nobody runs a great business on his money. You borrow money. The important thing, the problem is not with borrowing, it's what you do with the money you borrow. And it's not, when you borrow and you squander the money, that's where the danger is. We can borrow, we have to spend our way out of the debt, out of the hole or recession and all that. But then, my problem is, what do we do with the money we borrow? At what rate are we borrowing, and what are the conditionalities given to us for all these borrowings? The talk of the Chinese loans and all those things. What are the conditions attached to it? Are they things we can pay? Are we just cutting our nose to spite the face, or how do they say it?
Well, look at Nigerian Tribune next. I think they follow up from where Telegraph left off. 31,000 policemen, 5 wrecks for Edo poll. Policemen not on election duty, but moving about in mufti or uniform to be arrested. That's by the IGP. INEC assures on credible poll, explains how smart card reader ZPAD will work. Candidates should prove prophet of doom wrong above Benin. Candidates to sign peace accord today. Vote according to your conscience. So, at the end of the day, like, I mean, you highlighted some of these things previously in terms of what to expect. But what do you really think will be a little different from these elections?
I think what this election will bring out for me is that we will see the rigging will be in relief. It will be very obvious to everybody that this election, if there is anybody plays shenanigans, it will be very obvious that somebody played pranks here. Because for me, I don't want to name names, but it's clear who has the votes, and it's clear who has the control of the machinery of rigging, who can trick the figures.
Well, I wish I could use that crystal ball that you have to find out some things about the future. Well, look at this other one. Oh dear, this is wow, pretty sad one now. Bandits kill 2 FRSC officers, abduct 10. Gunmen kill LG director in Ekiti. Couple in Plateau. Hoodlums beat policeman to death in Ogun. Man shot dead over shawarma. Yes, shawarma. And then cult members kill OPC coordinator. 2 others in Lagos. And
what other indication of lawlessness and a failing state do you need? If the FRC, if those that you look up to protect you, yes, the FRC might not be the regular police and all, but these are people that you will see on the way. At least some fear we grip you that yes, these are law enforcement people and all that. If those ones, now when somebody wants to destroy you and it comes for those that should protect you first, you should know that you are in trouble. Those are the signals that all these other people are seeing and warning us, but we kind of seem to politicize everything. If you say it, then you're against, you're a whaler.
Well, they also have that failed state bid. Presidency's reaction disappointing, worrying, say Afenifere, NEF, Ohanese, MBF, PANDEF. So, I mean, that's several others, but that's the Tribune today.
We'll take a look at The Guardian. Energy pipelines damaged 9,420 times in 5 years. Now, if you think that's shocking, let me show you the costs. Cost of repairs set to hit 1 trillion naira. And you see that why pipeline vandalism persists. Well, this story is a lot, really.
We pay people trillions to monitor those pipelines.
That seems to be a reason already. If you look at
the
cost,
trillions, and maybe if you don't renew the contracts, then the same people that monitor and secure them will compromise
So
it.
it's
And so
lucrative.
you just renew their contract.
You know, this story gives a lot of figures, really. It just paints a picture, gives you the context, helps understand how massive this is. But you know what? That's why you have the headline and you have to pick up a copy to check out the details on page 6. And you see 2 pictures on the front page. One showing the scene of accident involving a bus and commuter train in Oshodi yesterday. Really sad one. And the next one, the one right next to it, shows outpatient ward at UCH deserted as a result of Johannes's strike. If you know UCH very well, you understand how packed this place will be on a normal day, but there is no single soul seated here. And that means a lot of people that need access to health are not getting it from UCH. So where are they getting that from? UCH is seen as, a point of reference when it comes to healthcare in the country. If you could just touch on this a little bit, is there really a way out of this health crisis?
You go to the UCH itself. I don't think there's any medical facility in this country that had a higher incidence of COVID among the workers as much as UCH. And then people are sacrificing themselves, putting their lives on the line every day. And even the basic minimum they need to function, you are not providing it. Yes, I'm not a unionist kind of person, but for the fact that when you put people to work, you enter into agreements year after year, you don't keep those agreements. You sign up for some certain things, you don't keep to them. At some point, they will have to make demands on you. It's painful, and you see this money being frittered away in so many other places. Meanwhile, the core areas we need there, they are not being put there. Small time, one other health workers in particular that should be treated like we should be pampered at this period. We are still talking, we pay them up to June or April and May. We are still waiting for June, and this is September, for goodness sake. And they are daily putting their lives on the line. I think it says a lot about how serious we take serious matters in this
definitely
country.
Something of concern. Let's quickly run through the Daily Times newspaper. Forex scarcity threatens investor confidence. That story is on page 2. And oil prices rise as storm threatens U.S. Gulf Coast. That story you'll find on page 4. Economy, investors consolidate multiple accounts involving 4.82 billion shares. And Edo election, police deploy 31,000 for Edo State governorship election. That story is on page 5. Above the nameplate, the editorial is about policing the nation. What options? I think you referenced this earlier in a way, so let's just hope. Well, the Daily Times newspaper's opinion is something you may want to add to your repertoire as well. That's the Daily Times this morning.
Okay, take a look at News Direct. It's the same thing with the police. They deploy 31,000 personnel for Edo election. That's ascribed to the IGP. And then you already highlighted this union shut down ARIC operation over non-payment of salaries. Well, that you've already seen previously.
Once you hear the deployment, just follow the money. It's racket. It's a racket. Everybody just wants to be seen to be doing something for the election and then to justify the next vote.
You don't want to give them the benefit of doubt?
Because I've seen it over and over and over again.
Yeah. So there you go. And sometimes we wonder, why is there forex scarcity? Now you don't, there isn't any, they're not going to access forex for importation of fuel now, certain food stuff. So what's going on? You think it's just a matter of time that forex is available? These
things have, forex definitely, how do we get forex? We sell our crude oil, we get money. How many people are buying? What are we selling? So there'll definitely be a scarcity of forex for now. But my fear is this idea of blanket, no ban for importation of foods and all those stuffs. Bakers are talking of hiking up price. We are not producing enough corn. The farmers have been sacked from their farms. The headsmen have driven everybody. Nobody is farming nowhere. Anywhere you have a farm, you run away from it because the headsmen are there. So where are we supposed to be producing this, apart from the government-sponsored rice farms and all that? So
food for thought, I guess. Well, that's the fine place to let it go. Steve Nwosu, editor-in-chief and publisher of the Nigerian Express. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, then we're back in a moment. Stay with us.